You've seen whales before, massive shadows moving beneath the surface, silent giants that seem untouchable, creatures so large they almost don't feel real. But here's something most people never think about. How does a baby whale survive in the first minutes of its life? No land, no protection, no second chance, just cold, open ocean. And one mistake means death. The moment that decides everything, a baby whale, called a calf, is born directly into the water. Not gently, not safely, but into a world that is already trying to kill it. And the first rule is brutal. If it doesn't reach the surface in time, it dies. Because whales don't breathe underwater. The moment it's born, the calf must rise. But it's weak, disoriented, new to everything. That's when the mother acts. She pushes it upward with her body, sometimes lifting it with her head, forcing it toward the light. Imagine that first breath. A newborn, hundreds of kilograms in weight, rising through endless water, breaking the surface for the very first time. That's not just birth, that's survival. The danger starts immediately. But breathing is only the beginning, because the ocean doesn't wait. There are no safe zones, no quiet corners, no time to recover. Predators are always nearby. Sharks, orcas, hunters that know exactly what a newborn looks like. Slow, unprotected, easy. A baby whale alone wouldn't last long. That's why it must stay close to its mother, almost touching her at all times. If it drifts too far, even for a moment, it can disappear forever. The impossible problem. Now comes the real challenge. Feeding. On land, it's simple. A baby finds milk, it drinks, it grows. But underwater, that's impossible. You can't latch on normally, you can't stop moving, you can't let milk dissolve into the ocean. So how do whales solve this? The answer sounds almost unreal. Nature's genius solution: instead of the baby sucking milk, the mother whale forces milk directly into the calf's mouth. Yes. She uses powerful muscles around her mammary glands to inject the milk. The calf positions itself under her body, nudging the area instinctively. And in that moment, the mother releases it. A precise, controlled burst. No waste, no dilution, no chance of losing it in the water. It's one of the most efficient feeding systems in nature. This milk is not normal. And what's inside that milk changes everything. Whale milk is nothing like human milk. It's thick, almost like paste, extremely rich, packed with fat, up to 50%. Why so dense? Because the ocean is cold, relentlessly cold. A newborn whale needs insulation, energy, strength, and it needs it fast. This milk is not just food, it's survival in liquid form. Growth that shouldn't be possible. Because of this, whale calves grow at a rate that feels unreal. Some species gain up to 90 kilograms, 200 pounds, every single day. Every day, no breaks, no slowing down. They feed constantly, while swimming, while breathing, while staying alert. Because if they fall behind, they become vulnerable. The bond that keeps them alive. During this entire time, the calf never leaves its mother, not even for a second. She becomes everything: protection from predators, a guide to the surface, a source of food, a moving shield in a dangerous world. She slows down for it, adjusts her speed, sometimes even risks her own life to keep it safe. This isn't just instinct. This is a bond that defines survival. But this is only the beginning. Because feeding is only the first stage. Soon the calf will need to travel thousands of miles. It will face hunger, exhaustion, and predators that don't give up. And sometimes, even the mother won't be able to protect it. In part 2, we go deeper. Migration, into attacks, into the moments where everything can go wrong. Stay with me. The baby whale has survived its first breath. It has learned to stay close, to follow, to trust its mother completely. But now, a new challenge begins. And this one is even more dangerous, the journey no one can avoid. Not long after birth, something incredible happens. The mother starts moving, slowly at first, then farther, then deeper into the open ocean. Because staying in one place is not an option. Food is far away. For many whale species, feeding grounds are thousands of kilometers from where the calf is born. And that means one thing: the baby whale must travel, even if it's not ready, too weak for the ocean. Here's the problem. The calf is still small, still learning, still dependent. Its muscles are not fully developed. Its endurance is limited. Its body is still fragile. And yet, it must swim. Not for minutes, not for hours, but for days, weeks, sometimes months. When the ocean doesn't care. The ocean doesn't slow down for anyone. Strong currents can separate mother and calf. Waves can push them apart. And exhaustion? That's the silent killer. If the calf gets too tired, if it can't keep up, it falls behind. And in the open ocean, falling behind means becoming invisible. The hunters are always watching. And this is when the real danger begins. Because predators know. They understand migration patterns. They know where mothers travel with newborns. And they wait. Orcas, also known as killer whales, are the most feared. Not because they are stronger, but because they are smarter. They hunt in groups. They communicate. They plan. And when they see a baby whale, they don't hesitate. The attack strategy: orcas don't attack randomly. They isolate. First, they try to separate the calf from the mother. They circle. They create panic. They force movement. If the calf drifts even slightly away, that's all they need. Then comes the second phase. They exhaust it. They take turns chasing, biting, forcing it underwater. Because remember, whales need air, and if the calf can't reach the surface, it won't survive. A mother against the ocean. But this is where something never happens. The mother fights back, not with strategy, not with calculation, but with instinct. She positions herself between the calf and the attackers. She uses her body as a shield. She pushes her baby upward, forcing it to breathe. Sometimes she lifts it out of the water entirely, and sometimes she charges. A full-grown whale can weigh tens of tons, and when it decides to fight, even orcas hesitate. But it's not always enough, because orcas don't give up easily. They test, they wait, they come back, and the mother is only one against many. This is not a quick fight. It can last for hours, sometimes longer, and every second drains energy. Energy the calf needs to survive. Energy the mother needs to protect. Feeding during chaos. And here's the hardest part. Even during this journey, even with predators nearby, the calf still needs to eat. It still depends on milk. So the mother must continue feeding it, while moving, while watching for danger, while staying alert every second. Imagine that balance: protect, move, feed, survive. All at once, the brutal truth. Not all calves make it. Some get separated, some get too weak, some become targets at the wrong moment. The ocean doesn't forgive mistakes. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't care. But those who survive become something extraordinary, stronger, faster, more aware, and step by step, they begin to rely less on their mother. In part 3, we'll go into the next stage, when the calf starts to become independent, when milk is no longer enough, and when it must learn to hunt, survive, and think on its own. Because this is where the real transformation begins. The journey didn't break it. The predators didn't catch it. The ocean didn't take it. The baby whale is still alive. But now, you suspect, everything begins to change. Milk is no longer enough for weeks, sometimes months. The calf depended on one thing: its mother's milk. That thick, powerful source of energy. The reason it survived its first days. But there's a problem. Milk alone can't sustain it forever. The calf is growing fast. Its body is getting heavier. Its muscles stronger. Its needs much bigger. And at some point, nature makes a decision. It's time to learn how to eat real food. The first attempt. But here's the truth no one tells you. A baby whale doesn't know how to hunt. It doesn't understand prey. It doesn't know timing. It doesn't even recognize what food is. So the first attempts, they fail. The calf chases, misses, tries again, fails again. It wastes energy, gets frustrated, falls behind. And in the ocean, falling behind is dangerous. Learning by watching. This is where the mother becomes a teacher, not by explaining, not by showing step by step, but by example. She dives, she moves in patterns, she targets specific areas, and the calf watches closely. Every movement matters, every turn, every devour, every pause is a lesson. Different whales, different skills. Not all whales hunt the same way, and that makes learning even harder. Some whales, like humpbacks, use bubble nets. They trap fish in spirals of air, creating a living net. Others, like orcas, use teamwork. They coordinate, communicate, execute precise attacks. And then there are filter feeders, massive whales that take in huge volumes of water and separate food using baleen plates. Each method is different. Each requires skill, and the calf must adapt. The struggle behind growth learning is not smooth. It's messy. The calf gets tired, makes mistakes. Sometimes it goes hungry. There are days when it doesn't catch enough, days when it relies on the last reserves of fat built from milk. And during these moments, it stays closer to its mother again, still not fully independent, still learning, still vulnerable. The mother starts letting go, and here's the hardest part. The mother begins to create distance, not because she doesn't care, but because she must. If the calf stays dependent forever, it won't survive. So she swims slightly ahead. Doesn't always slow down, doesn't always wait. She forces it to try, to fail, to improve, to become stronger. A new kind of awareness, slowly, something changes. The calf reacts faster, moves smarter, anticipates movement. It begins to understand the ocean, where fish gather, how currents move, when to strike. What once felt impossible starts to become instinct. But independence comes with risk because now the calf is not always right next to its mother. And that means one thing: it's exposed. Predators still exist. The ocean is still dangerous. But now there is less protection, less guidance, less certainty. The turning point, and then one day, it happens. The calf catches its first real meal. Not by accident, not by luck, but by skill. A moment that changes everything. Because from that point on, it no longer depends only on its mother. From baby to survivor. It's still young, still learning, still growing, but it's no longer helpless. The ocean no longer feels like an impossible world. It becomes a place it understands. In part 4, we go even deeper, into the emotional side of whale life, into communication, memory, and the bond that never fully disappears. Because even when whales grow up, they never completely forget where they came from. The calf can swim on its own now. It can hunt, it can react, it understands the ocean better than ever before. But there's something deeper, something invisible, that never leaves it. The ocean is not silent. To us, the ocean feels quiet, endless, empty, still. But for whales, it's alive with sound. Low-frequency calls travel for hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometers. And among all those sounds, one voice stands out: the mother, a voice that becomes home. Or from the very beginning, the calf learns her call, not just as a sound, but as a signal of safety, of direction, of life. Even when it can't see her, even in dark or deep water, it can hear her. And that changes everything. Because in a world where vision is limited, sound becomes connection, memory beyond survival. Whales are not just surviving, they remember. Migration routes, feeding grounds, danger zones, and most importantly, relationships. A calf doesn't just grow and forget. It carries its early experiences forward. The voice of its mother, the rhythm of her movement, the patterns of her behavior. These become part of how it understands the world. Communication that feels human. Some whale species don't just make sounds, they have structured communication. Sequences, patterns, repetition, almost like language. And calves learn this the same way humans learn to speak, by listening and copying. At first, their sounds are simple, incomplete, imperfect, but over time, They become more precise, more complex, more intentional. Separation is inevitable, but no bond lasts the same forever. At some point, distance becomes permanent. The calf grows, becomes stronger, more independent, less dependent on guidance, and slowly, it spends more time away. Not all whales leave. In some species, like orcas, something remarkable happens. They don't fully separate. They stay in family groups called pods, sometimes for life, living, hunting, traveling together. And the mother, she remains central, even when her offspring are fully grown, a connection that never disappears. Even in species where calves eventually leave, the early bond never truly fades, because those first months, those moments of feeding, protection, survival, shape everything. How the whale reacts, how it communicates, how it survives. The ocean feels different now. What once was overwhelming is now familiar. The currents make sense, the sounds have meaning, the distances feel navigable. The calf is no longer just reacting, it's understanding, from instinct to intelligence. This is the real transformation, not just physical growth, but mental evolution. The whale is no longer just surviving danger. It's anticipating it, adapting, learning, and making decisions. But one final stage remains, because even now, even after all this growth, there is still one test left. The moment where the whale is truly alone. No mother nearby, no protection, no second chances, just the ocean. We'll see what happens when a whale fully enters adulthood, and how everything it learned as a baby determines whether it lives or disappears. There comes a moment when everything changes. No warning, no clear line, just a quiet realization. The mother is no longer there. The first true distance. At first, it doesn't feel real. The young whale still moves through familiar waters, still hears distant calls, still follows old patterns. But something is different. There's more space, more silence, more responsibility. And for the first time, every decision matters. No one left to protect you. There is no body between you and danger now. No shield, no guide, no second pair of instincts watching for threats. If a predator appears, you react alone. If you make a mistake, you face the consequences alone. This is where survival becomes real. Everything comes back, but here's the incredible part. In those moments, everything the whale learned as a calf returns, not as memories, but as instinct. How to move with the current, how to stay aware of surroundings, how to conserve energy, how to avoid danger before it appears, and most importantly, how to survive without fear taking over. The ocean feels bigger, but clearer. When it was a baby, the ocean felt endless, unpredictable, overwhelming. Now it still feels vast, but no longer confusing. Every sound has meaning. Every movement has purpose. The whale is no longer lost in the ocean. It becomes part of it. Strength built from the beginning, that rapid growth from milk, those exhausting migrations, those close encounters with predators, they weren't random. They were preparation. Every challenge shaped this moment. Every risk built resilience. And now it all comes together, becoming what it once followed. At some point, something incredible happens. The young whale is no longer young. It grows into one of those giants, the same kind it once followed as a calf. Strong, massive, confident, a presence in the ocean. The cycle begins again. And one day, far in the future, it may have a calf of its own, a new life, small, vulnerable, facing the same impossible world. And without hesitation, it will do exactly what its mother once did. Guide it to the surface, protect it from danger, feed it with everything it has. The hidden truth about survival. When people think about whales, they see turbines, power, beauty, kombu, but what they don't see is the struggle that built all of it. Every adult whale you see was once a fragile calf, fighting to survive in a world that gave it nothing for free. And that changes everything, because once you understand that, You don't just see whales as giants anymore. You see them as survivors, as beings shaped by challenge, by connection, by learning, and by loss. Listen closely. Somewhere in the ocean right now, a mother is guiding her calf to its first breath. Somewhere, a baby whale is learning to feed for the first time. And somewhere, another whale is swimming alone, carrying everything it once learned. And if you ever hear the ocean, just for a second, you might realize it was never silent. Subscribe if you want to see more real stories from the ocean. Not myths, but survival.